Episode 37. Some Principles of Deliberate Practice.
Hello, my dear friends. In the last episode, I was discussing with you the theory of deliberate practice by Dr. Anders Ericsson of Texas University, United States. I explained to you that the formula is 10,000 hours of practice in 10 years' time. We're going to understand how these 10,000 hours is calculated and what is included in 10,000 hours and what is not included. Anders Ericsson concluded that expert performers engaged in deliberate practice for longer periods of time than non-expert performers. And over years, this added up enormously. Consider someone engaging in 3 hours of practice per day versus another person engaged in 1 hour practice per day, and this is done 4 days per week and 208 days in a year. And how that adds up over years of practice. You can take a paper and pencil and calculate this simple arithmetic. Obviously, the person spending 3 hours per day over a period of 3 years will put in around 1,900 hours. This means the person trying to become a world-class expert will engage much more than another person who does not want to become world-class. It's common sense that someone practicing 3 hours per day 6 days a week will be increasing their hours of practice significantly compared to someone working only 1 hour per day, 3 days a week easily. In that case, at the 1 year mark, you are looking at 936 hours versus 208 hours of practice. By 5 years, you are looking at nearly 5,000 hours versus a mere 1,000 hours. But you have to make up your mind. Do you want to become world class? Assuming it takes 10,000 hours of practice to achieve expertise, it's fairly clear that the person who puts more hours will get there faster. In fact, the person doing less may never get there in any realistic time frame. That is around 200 hours per year. It would take 50 years to accumulate 10,000 hours of practice. That's why when I was discussing with you on SMART goal, we said specific, measurable, actionable, realistic and time bound. It's again a common sense that in many domains such as sports, there is a limit to how much practice can be done per day, dictated by mental and physical stamina. But within that limitation, clearly, the person who puts in more hours of practice will achieve mastery. Expert performers put more hours of practice than less expert performers. That is why I was mentioning to you that you decide what should be the size and scope of your platform. If you have determined that the world is the platform, then you should accept this reality and logic. Now let us look at some of the basic principles of deliberate practice. Principle number 1. Deliberate practice is not inherently enjoyable because it calls for enormous amount of physical and mental work. But then the question is, why do these people go through this pain? Because of the inherent benefit that occur from this practice. They visualize how things will be, how their world will be, how their life quality will be by undergoing this practice. Principle number 2. Deliberate practice is not play or paid performance, which mean if you are a football player, if you watch television where you watch others play, that number of hours is not counted for this 10,000 hours. You cannot delegate it to somebody. You cannot engage somebody to do it for you. That will not be counted for this 10,000 hours. Principle number 3. What you do should be relevant to the skill being practiced. If you want to become a great pianist, you don't generally spend time practicing flute. Very, very clear. Principle number 4. Deliberate practice is not just watching the skill being performed. For example, you yourself can see your own self playing. You can take a video clipping and analyze your movement. That is not taken into account for this 10,000 hours. Or if you are watching another expert performing a skill over and over again and you want to learn from how he is doing it, that number of hours is not counted for this 10,000 hours. Principle number 5. Deliberate practice requires effort and attention from the learner. Please mind my words, effort and attention. That means you should be physically and mentally committed and involved. If you do not apply your mind and body to what you have taken up, you cannot become world class. Principle number 6. Deliberate practice often involves activities selected by a coach or a teacher to facilitate learning. In many situations, development of expertise is guided by a teacher, a mentor, or a coach. The role played by a mentor and a coach cannot be underestimated. And finally, there is a good news for you. Lack of a natural gift is irrelevant. Talent has little or nothing to do with greatness. You can make yourself into any number of things, and you can even make yourself great. If you don't have a talent, you can acquire one. But all the principles I mentioned just now, you need to remember. I hope you have understood what it means to become world class and what is the meaning of deliberate practice.
தரமான மெட்ரிக் பாடத்திட்டத்துடன் ABS வித்யாலயா திருவள்ளூர்.